Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to a very wet Carrow Road. It doesn't feel like the opening day of the season, does it, in terms of weather? I'm not used to wearing a coat on the opening day of the season. But I tell you what, we will take more games and more results like that from Norwich City. It's a big smile on my face. I'm sure there's a big smile on a lot of your faces as well. That was, I'm pleasantly surprised, may I say, and pretty impressed with the way that Norwich City played today. They've beaten Hull City here by 2-1. I'm going to get to the performance, but I think beforehand, look, this place was a really bleak place to watch football in towards the end of last season. Norwich, before today, gone 550 minutes, I believe, without scoring a goal here. The last one was Marquinhos in February against Cardiff. It's been a long period of time since they won a game here. It's been a long period of time since the fans probably left this place feeling suitably entertained, suitably optimistic about what their side had given them. And actually, it's been a long time since anyone felt like coming here was a lot of fun. And park everything else, park the way it went. It's really interesting because the opening day of the season, there's usually some, it's usually a sense of freedom that comes with that, because you're free of any expectation or weight or I guess caveats or nuances or context of seasons, etc. It's kind of a little bit of a free hit for you to go out to make an early impression and to set the tone really for the season. But for Norwich, it didn't feel like that. It felt like there was a bit of pressure on this game. It felt like there was a little bit of tension on it because of the way last season ended, because of the way that they lost games and for everything that's happened subsequently, the erosion between the people who stand in these stands and the people on the pitch and the decision makers. It all felt a little bit broken towards the end of the last season. So to get to a position that we were today, where we finished the afternoon with, just in that stand behind me, Norwich fans, Norwich players and fans sharing a moment together. David Wagner sort of calling players back to go and celebrate again with them. Felt like a real page-turning moment, a real pivotal moment, and a moment that everyone needed, actually. Because, as I said, it was pretty grim coming here last season, and that was anything but. And that's because of what Norwich City did here today. And look, it's one game. Just because they won today doesn't mean they're going to go and finish in the top six or get promoted or win the league. Doesn't mean that they're going to do anything. But it is really important, and it was really important that they won this football match because of the context of everything that happened before. And the feeling around the place. And we've always said it, if you want positivity, if you want people to speak about the football club, speak about the work that you're doing, you have to win on the pitch. And that is the way of bringing people with you. And I think if we get a lot more of what we saw on the pitch and a lot more of that connection off it as well, then I think ultimately people are going to leave this place feeling like they've had a good time. And that is progress, irrespective of everything else. So that seemed like an apt place to start. I want to say that first half, I was trying to rack my brains before I hit record on this. I'm not sure I've seen a better first half than that from Norwich City since they beat Everton, I want to say, in the Premier League. But I want to say maybe this was better than that. So I'm thinking probably back to the last Championship season where they won the league. So not last season, so 2 full seasons ago. This is the best performance that I've seen from a Norwich City side in a long while, in terms of being so dominant, such in control of this contest, creating chances pretty readily. And I think someone said they had 18 shots in the first half alone, which was beyond Watford, who beat QPR this afternoon. At that stage of the game was the most. And they looked a real threat. They looked like they were going to score goals. They looked like they had different ways to hurt teams, because there's some really nice rotations in wide areas. John Rowe caused absolute havoc all afternoon, and we'll come on to him in more detail in a moment. But they had real threats because the fullbacks go and support the play. They brought the wingers inside. They were more stable with their build-up shape. And again, I spoke about this a little bit in pre-season in terms of the tweaks that they've made. It's quite interesting. It becomes almost a 3-4-3 when they're quite settled. It's a 4-4-2 out of possession, and then it's like a 3-3-4 when they're attacking. But that gives them options, and it gives them overloads, because when they do get the ball forward, and they've got different ways of doing that because of how far they push the fullbacks, you get a run from a winger that creates space outside, then can hit the diagonal. And I think individually, Jack Stacey and Dimi Yanulis had really, really good games, particularly for the first 70 minutes or so. So the patterns of play was good. What they were trying to do was good. Their approach was good. And they controlled things really nicely. I was on the live blog this afternoon, and the update before Norwich City conceded was, "This is really impressive from Norwich," and then it was goal Hull. And that for me was the real moment. It was the real, okay, because for all the pre-season testing, for all the tests that they've had, for all of the games that they've had in pre-season, that's the moment when you find out almost the minerals of your team. Shane Duffy gets in a bit of a tangle, fires the ball against Ben Gibson's legs. Liam Delap comes in, gallops past Gibson, puts the ball into the top corner. Brilliant finish. But again, probably a lot of people in this place going, oh, not again. But actually the way they reacted, last year, and I spoke about this a lot, their performance levels would really jump. If they scored a goal, it would jump. If they conceded a goal, it would jump. And towards the end of the season, we only really saw the conceding element of that, and their performances would really dip and go through the floor. So to see them stand up to a test like that, to see them come through it, to see it actually not affect their performance too much, I guess that that speaks a lot about what they're trying to create here, and about the players that they've added in terms of mentality and experience, and trying to get the right pieces in the right holes. And that's the biggest praise I can give them, is that goal, that moment, didn't change the flow of the half at that stage, and didn't change the flow of what happened. I have to say, I thought Hull were pretty poor this afternoon. That's not to take anything away from Norwich, but I think they afforded them far too much space. They didn't work out what they were trying to do tactically for a long period of time, or they didn't come up with a solution to stop it. And really, the criticism of Norwich is that they didn't take chances that they should have done. They could have easily, I hate this expression because it's so cliched, but they could have easily been more goals up at half time than they were. The fact they went in at 1-1 was not a reflection of how the game had transpired. And I remember standing here a lot last season and Norwich being in winning positions and commanding positions, and saying that in the opposite sense, that Norwich were winning games but their performance wasn't there. I actually felt that the performance was there today, and maybe the result wasn't. And the second half, I think there was a bit more huffing and puffing. There was a period after they took, there was some tired legs in there. It's natural, opening game of the season. It's kind of the extension, isn't it, of pre-season to a point. And John Rowe, for example, after 75 minutes, his legs went. On El Hernandez likewise. I think Gabriel Sara as well, who hasn't played a lot in pre-season. And the changing of that nature. Hull tweaked a few things as well, the way they were pressing and the structures. And I felt that had an impact on what Norwich were doing as well. So the game dipped significantly after about 75 minutes. And it felt like it was probably going to peter out and be a draw, to be honest. And, I've got an expression, I've used it on these verdicts a lot, which is good teams find a way to win games. Norwich found the way to win a game. It came from a set piece. It was pretty poor delivery from Nunez. It gets cleared. He then delivers a cross in. It comes off McLaughlin and falls for Adam Idah, who puts the ball in the back of the net. Now, I haven't seen this back. David Wagner's spoken about offside, so I'm not doing this with the benefit of a replay. But to me, in real time, it looked like Idah was offside from the second cross, which has then hit McLaughlin, and fell to Idah, who's prodded it home. Now, in that case, the referee has to make a judgment on whether that ball from McLaughlin has been played deliberately if Adam Idah is in an offside position, which I don't know that he definitely was, but that's what I felt at the time. To me, I think it's quite harsh if that's been the judgment that's been taken, because he has just kind of stood up and it's just hit him and it's fallen to Idah. I'm not sure that you could really say that was a deliberate action. Of course, he's got in the way of the ball. He's tried to defend, I guess, but I'm not sure he's made an action towards the ball. He's not gone to head it. He's not gone to clear it. So in that instance, if Adam Idah was in an offside position, I think Hull have a strong case for offside. What they don't have a strong case for is an argument somehow that 5 minutes and 15 seconds have been added on. There's been so much around this. First and foremost, every time the added on time is announced in this stadium, it is an additional minimum of 5 minutes, minimum being the key word there. It doesn't mean that you're going to play 5 minutes and the whistle blows up. The goalkeeper got booked for time wasting because he was moving the ball from one side of the 6-yard box to the other. So if they're upset with the time that's been added on, it's because Matt Ingram took too much time over a goal kick, and that was added on subsequently. There's also been some talk around them feeling that, I think from Christian Fashnak's cross, that a ball went out of play. Again, I haven't seen it back, so I can't comment on that. But that feels maybe like the strongest shout that they have, along with the offside, if, as I said, Adam Idah is in the offside position. So Yeah, that's where I am on all of those decisions, I think, and probably the one that they have the least right to be upset about is the time that was added on, because there's been a lot of publicity about that. They're adding on a lot more time, and they are stopping and counting things accurately as should be done and adding on subsequently. I'm pretty surprised actually that we only got 2 minutes at the end of the first half and 5 at the end of the second. So yeah, there we go. Like I say, I thought Dimi Yanulis had a really good game today. Probably the best I've seen him play here for a while. Jack Stacey carried on his pre-season form, looked excellent, I thought, and both of them gave Norwich a real outlet on either side. I thought Sarah was pretty good for a period in the first half where Norwich were playing their best football and really made them tick. But again, I think he kind of faded out. And then the obvious one we have to speak about is John Rowe, who, you know, has kind of teased, I think, pre-season that he had this type of performance in him. There has been those impressive strides made. There have been those bursts, and probably not to the consistency that we saw them today, but there has been that spark, I guess, that something that he could do something or create something. This is his first start here today, considering he was on the scene in and around the end of that Premier League season. Dean Smith opted not to start him in any of those fixtures. Obviously, injury troubles last year prevented him from making a real impact. That was some way to mark your first Carrow Road appearance. Just brilliant. Obviously, a fantastic goal, but a constant threat. He really troubled Hull because he would occupy the way Wagner wants his wingers to play. They invert, and it's part of the new structure that they're trying to do in possession. He's capable of going wider and beating men that way, and he's capable of playing on his other foot and playing inside, as we saw with the goal. So that causes a real headache for defenders who naturally want to show him wide. And again, part of the goal is it comes from a Yanulis pass into him. But Jack Stacey, who is going to get lost in the goal because of what John Rowe's done, but he creates a brilliant decoy run that just pulls the defender away, gives Rowe space to go inside and space for him to push the ball out of his feet. And the technique to wrap that to wrap the foot around that into the top corner was superb. Like I say, tired a bit, but absolutely brilliant that he had a performance like that. And I think, you know, there's been a lot of excitement about him for a long period of time around this place. And I think that performance maybe has brought supporters on board as well. So delighted for him. Rightly, Norwich City's man of the match today. Now it's going to be about consistency and yeah, because I don't think the talent is in doubt. And I think what we could have seen here today is up to him to make sure it was, but a real moment for him and his career, and I hope that is the case. Yeah, someone's just pointing out in the comments about Jean-Michel Seri. I'm very confused about this. There was a moment in the first half, I think around 27 minutes, where he committed a foul and it looked like he was booked. Subsequently, I think it appears that Jacob Greaves was booked for dissent, but at the time it looked like Seri had been booked, and that was the case on a load of official websites. And then just before half-time, he seemed to be booked again. And I thought he'd been booked twice, and I was very confused because initially I turned to Paddy and said, "Well, he's got to be off here because he's been booked," but that wasn't the case. So I think it was my error rather than a refereeing error. But to be honest, he should have been booked for the first one. So that's by the by. But yeah, I had forgotten about that. Norwich also hit the post twice. As I said, a real flurry of opportunities, and given maybe some of the concerns that I had and others had in pre-season, it was really good to see them attack with such vibrancy and looking so dynamic, and also being quite multifaceted in the way that they attacked. They have the option to put the ball in the box with Ashley Barnes and Josh Sargent. They work wide areas really well. They rotate nicely, and that's going to create space centrally as well. And they've got players who can score from range. So, and they're going to be stronger from set pieces, I think, providing Shane Duffy can connect to a few. So that's good as well. And yeah, so the game petered out, as I said. It was petering out. Norwich win a corner, which again I haven't seen, but theory is that the ball went out of play. Nunez delivers it, really poor delivery, gets cleared back to him. The ball sits up nicely for Adam Idah, and I think, you know, I've spoken about this before, but he's taken so much criticism. There was actually a few smatterings when he came on of kind of a chant, if Idah scores, we're on the pitch. And he's had a really tough year and a bit, I would say, at Norwich City. Largely, he's been beaten over the head with a contract that he didn't offer himself. He signed it. It was put in front of him by the powers that be at Norwich City. If you disagree with that decision, then, to be honest, it's not really Adam Idah you should be criticising for picking up a pen and signing it. And if that's in his best interest, he's entitled to do that. It should be the people who gave him that contract, if that's your view. But we've seen, I think, over a period of time, his confidence get eroded away steadily, quite rapidly. I've watched Adam Idah play football for a long time now. There is a good player in there and a good striker in there. But the circumstances and the conditions have not been right for him to do it, be that criticism. I think his personality is one that he can be quite affected by it. That's just my view. I don't know him enough personally to say that, but that's the view I get speaking to him from interviews, and I think he's spoken about that as well. So if there was any player who needed that moment, it was Adam Idah. And I just hope now that it completely shifts, how the perspective is and the perception is around him, because he is a capable player. He's shown that at academy level. He's shown that at first team level when he's had the moments. He's not played a lot of football for somebody his age, and he's got to get in ahead of two really, really good strikers. But a moment like that can just be the spark sometimes to lift a player and ignite a player. And I sort of spoke earlier about that maybe being a moment for John Rowe's career. I hope it's a moment for Adam Idah's as well. And yeah, it just felt like relief from everyone, from him, from the fans, from David Wagner, I'm sure, when he prodded that ball into the back of the net. So look, let's put things in perspective then to round off. One game of 46, Norwich have won it 2-1, but they've done it in a way which has offered much more encouragement, in a way that I feel much more positive about, and a way that I feel is much more sustainable than the way that they were winning games last season. They've got a big test next week. They go to Southampton. We saw what they did in glimpses as well last night, against Sheffield Wednesday. But they have the minerals there to potentially achieve something, providing they can keep this connectivity and togetherness going with supporters and keep producing performances like that at home. I'm not sure they're going to play teams that set up in the way Hull do too often. I still think there's question marks. But look, let's dwell on those another day. For right here, right now, for the moment, for the context, for the situation, this is an absolutely massive 3 points. And for once, after watching a game at Carrow Road, I'm going home, having seen Norwich City score not just 1 but 2 goals, get 3 points, and with a smile on my face. And after the way last season ended, I think we'll all take that. Plenty more reaction and analysis over at pinkin.com. Thank you very much for watching. New season of these video verdicts. I can't wait. We'll be here come rain or shine this season. Come Rotherham or pick another glamorous place, Plymouth. We will be there and we'll be delivering you all the content that we have. So thank you very much for your support. What a way to start a season. Let's see let's see where we go from here. I'm already exhausted. Thanks for watching.